What is going on, party people? Welcome back to the channel. This video I'm doing a full review on the Berotec Cumpan Cockpit Assist. Yep, it just started raining, but don't worry, we're not going to let that dampen our spirits. Let's see what I did there. Alright guys, so this video I'm going to explain everything that I like about this dash, what I don't like about it, and whether I think it's worth the money or not. Let's go for a bit of a ride. You guys can come along and I'll give you guys an in-depth view of this dash. So before I get stuck into the review part of it, it's probably going to help to understand why I was looking at buying one of these. So firstly, when I did my track day, there was a couple of things that I really was struggling with. Coming from my GSXR, having a gear shift indicator, a shift light and an RPM gauge, I was really struggling to honestly know what gear to be in, because that bike revved obviously a lot harder than this does. So I found myself coming into corners not knowing what gear I was in to start with, and coming out of corners hitting rev limiter way too quick and obviously affecting my lap times. So straight away I started looking at the product and I found this one. There was actually a video I saw, which I will shout out the guy just below, because he's pumping out some pretty cool footage and he's just not getting the views that I think he deserves. So like I said, a recommendation from that YouTuber, and I got straight onto it, found the supplier in Australia, had a good chat with Mark. He's an absolute gentleman, but we will get into a little bit more of that later. And I decided to go with it, and let's see if this fulfills exactly what I was after. So as you can see on the top left of the screen, you've got your gear shift indicator. Just above that we do have a shift light essentially, so the further that goes along the brighter it will get and start flashing. I haven't played too much with it, I've only done a couple of little rides, so you guys are going to see it in real time. And then of course just to the right of that we've got the RPM gauge, and most importantly in my opinion, especially if you're doing track days and on a bike like this, if you own a 701 and you do a lot of wheelies for long periods, you are going to struggle with oil starvation. So the bottom left hand there, we've got an oil pressure gauge, and that is an optional extra on this dash, and it's something that I definitely wanted because number one, I do want to learn how to do wheelies a lot better, and secondly, track days. So when I'm giving this bike an absolute hiding, I just want a little bit of safety, and you can set the pressure sensitivity, so if you have it too low or too high, it'll start flashing at you and you know to shut it off and check it or whatever you need to do. And then to the right of that you have what's sitting at 66 degrees right now. That is your oil temperature, and then below that is your ambient air temperature. So oil temperature is obviously important, and one of the really cool features on this dash is you can set a warm-up phase, so that you can have set goal temperatures and set goal RPM, and you can tell it to flash at you if it goes over a certain RPM at a certain temperature, so that you're not revving your bike too hard while it is too cold. Well, let me show you. I filmed this earlier and you'll see for yourself. And you'll see on the close-up camera, while it's under temperature, if you go above the RPMs you've set it at, it'll actually flash at you to let you know you're not up to the goal temperature just yet.
The future.
Alright, so I got the other little point of view GoPro out of the way, so that you guys can get like a real-time version of what's going on here. So as you can see, you can set the RPM gauge to flash at a certain RPM, so that it's essentially your shift light, because you know you're not exactly looking down while you're doing that. So you can see the really bright flash, and yes, I could definitely see that. And I hit rev limiter on purpose just to sort of show you guys. And then of course that bar just above that, which is yellow at the moment because we've got it on the yellow settings, but we can change that to so many colors. I will show you guys that just in a moment. But that bar is kind of like another little RPM gauge, so that you get more of a straight up visual because you're not exactly looking at numbers while you're riding. Okay, so let's get stuck into the things that I do like about this. Number one, the gear shift indicator, perfect. That is exactly what I expected it to be. It's nice and bright, super clear, no dramas there. It's exactly what I wanted. The second thing I really do like about it is the last video I posted about this was the install. It was so easy. It was very much plug and play. The hardest part, well, I would have to say, is the oil pressure sensor, and that really wasn't that hard. The other thing that I do like about it is, and I know it's a little bit gimmicky, but you know, sumo riders take their look serious, and the fact that you can change the colors, and for the 690 guys, there is a KTM color. It's literally called KTM. It's not called orange, it's not called amber, it is called KTM, which I think is actually pretty cool. Alright, so now for the things that maybe I don't like about it so much, and I'm going to be honest, there isn't a lot to say. The first thing I would have to say is it's much smaller than I expected.
That's what she said.
But realistically, that's just a personal preference. That's not necessarily something wrong with it. But when you put it on the bike, it kind of does make sense. It couldn't really be any bigger, kind of for the second reason that I'm a little bit disappointed in it, is I would have to say that the placement of it is a little bit stupid. So the mount that you can get for it puts it straight over the top of the original dash, so you can't see your speed. A little bit silly. To be honest, I think that's a little bit disappointing. Probably the biggest disappointment. To be honest, not the end of the world. I can fix that. I've got friends with 3D printers, and I think I might actually mount it kind of over the top of the handlebar, like the bridge. Just move it down a little bit, and I think it'll be perfect. And I think, honestly, the only other thing I could say is the instructions that come with it. It's a QR code that takes you to a YouTube channel that is in German. Not only is it in German, he just didn't, in the video, they just did not show much of which wires to use, and it was really confusing to use those videos. I had to cross-reference quite a few different videos that other people have done on different bikes, but you know, I fixed that problem because I've made my own video for you guys. Do I think it's worth the money? Now this is an easy answer, because the fact that I've forgotten how much I paid for it means I don't care. That means that it's a good product, because if I didn't like it, I'd be upset about how much money I spent. I hope that makes sense, but it definitely does to me. So I think it was around $400 to $500. I'll pop it on the screen here. That was Australian, delivered to my door. Super quick, by the way, by this absolute legend down below. This is not a sponsored video at all. I did ask Mark if he would like to sponsor. He just said no thank you, not interested. I fully respect that decision, as he's busy and he doesn't need to be worrying about this guy who's got bugger all subscribers. So for those wondering, this does fit the Husky 701, the KTM 690 and the Gas 700 in the Enduro and Supermoto style. So they're kind of the same bike. I believe there's a couple of minor differences in some stuff, but if you speak to Mark, I'm sure he can point you in the right direction. So I absolutely recommend this product. I'm very glad I did it. I am going to fix the mount because I literally can't see my speed. It's a little bit frustrating, but easy fix for anyone that has a 3D printer. And speaking of 3D printers, if there's anyone out there that rides a motorbike and carries a GoPro, there's a product that I know you have or want or need, and it attaches your GoPro to your helmet. Now I'm not going to say the brand, but you know who. That would cost me $66 to have one of those delivered to my door, and will only fit one helmet. I developed a product that is universal, heat moldable, and it will fit absolutely any helmet that I've ever come across, including my Sumo helmet, which is really pointy on the front. If you'd be interested in a product like this, let me know. Leave a comment below, and I'll see what we can do. Righto, little. So to get into your settings, tap the screen, and there's a whole bunch of things. Top right, you can settle your RPM limits and lights. I'm going to jump that up a little bit because that was a little bit premature. You can do your warm and cold settings. Flick back, you've got your display. Oh, wrong one. And this is where you can change your colors, go through pinks and yellows and KTM. Oh, you're welcome. In your main settings, you can have metric, imperial. You can set, this has kind of got all your little cycles and cold starts and stuff like that, so you can keep an eye on things. Then you've got your inputs. Now this is where you would set for, that's your gear indicator. We're obviously having that so that we know which gear we're in. And then just below this one, we've got pressure. That's our oil pressure. Lambda, AFRs. You can put another temperature sensor. I'm sorry if it's blurry, guys. You can have none. But of course we're going to have oil pressure. That's what we've got it at. And then of course we have our temps here, so you can have warnings to tell you when it's too hot, too cold, etc. Well guys, I hope you found this video either entertaining or educational. Either way, that's fine. And if you did find this video helpful, please consider clicking that subscribe button, sharing it with your friends and anyone that thinks they need one of these. But that's going to do it, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.